First time experiencing a Tesla supercharger lounge. Kinda cool, interesting. A little break, much needed for my body. Yeah, my lower back, wrist, ankles, all starting to, you know, get stiff. But that's actually like not that bad. The main thing is that my broken hip is starting to slightly, you know, it's not that bad, but I feel it a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't get worse. And obviously my knees are not okay. That's why I'm wearing thermals with like ripped jeans, because thermals are kind of like soft. They're not like, you know, the material. So doesn't hurt my knees as much. Another, I think it was like 90 miles, 91 miles till the next stop. So not too bad, hour and a half. Oh, I already kind of forgot that it's regular shift, not GP shift. Fixing how far the clutch lever was. Very nice, much better. And filled the bike so far 5 times. This is the 5th time I fill it up. Within the last, I don't know how many miles. We'll do a recap on the miles in the last video of this trip pretty much. I wanted to discuss how like the H2 is so much more comfortable than this bike. I mentioned in the last video that I rode the H2 from Arizona, which was not as far as this, about like a little more than half this distance. This is like about 7-8 hours. When I picked up the H2 from Arizona, it was about like 4 or 5 hours. So a little bit more than half the distance. But like I rode the H2 in the rain, man, but like when it was sunny, I was having such a blast. Like riding it, it's just like a way comfier seat. The position you're in is way comfier. It's just like a comfier bike to ride straight lines in general. This bike, obviously it's a track bike, so it does not like to go straight, you know what I mean? Like my butt hurts. This seat right here is like straight like a wood plank. So it's not, and I know Ducati makes a comfort seat, but this is a V4R, so I am not interested in getting a comfort seat for this. Again, I'm probably never going to be riding like about 8 hours in one day ever again on this bike. So most of the times when we ride, like it's probably like up to an hour, maybe 2 max if we're going like somewhere far, but that's like super rare. Most of the time it's like an hour, maybe hour and a half. Those are like the far rides, but like our usual rides are literally usually about like 30 minutes max. So yeah, it's not worth. Whoa, the moon is so visible, and it's like 3, 4. Oh shit, it's almost 4. That means by the time we get to the next spot, it's gonna start getting dark, aka cold. That's not fun. The good news is I was complaining about how hot the bike was in the first video I made of the series, and it was like abnormally hot. That literally it's mainly on the left side, because the engine is literally right there and the exhaust pipes are right there too. So like it really cooks the inside of your thigh. Like it was getting roasted, man. Like it was probably at a good like medium well at that point. So like straight up like pain. That's how much like hot it was. But I was going around like literally going 5 to 10 miles an hour in a very hot environment. So also like not something that's going to be happening often on this bike, because most of the time I'm going to be splitting lanes, or I'm not going to be going that slow in the heat for such a long time. So currently it's actually nice. So I want the bike to heat up. I want it to be at 3 bars. It's currently at 2 bars because it's cold outside. It's like, yeah, I believe it was like 60 degrees or something like that. So the bike is at 2 bars and it's not as warm as I would like it to be, but I can still feel the heat on my legs. So it's nice to, you know, tuck your legs and hug the thing. Yeah, so the topic this third video, I believe, of the series is gonna be pretty much me like comparing this bike and sharing my initial thoughts about it. As I mentioned on the first episode of the series, I pretty much just wanted to kind of like share my thoughts about getting it, about like stuff like that, you know, like nothing like barely, like I didn't try pushing the bike. I was just trying to get like used and comfortable with a bike, you know. And plus I was riding on like 2 hours of sleep. So, and the second one I was just talking about like the entire trip, a little bit, some random topics here and there. But this one is like dedicated for the bike and my initial thoughts. Let's kick it off with explaining how much power a V4R has. It makes more power than, well, I believe it, I saw somewhere that it was rated like the most powerful Ducati ever made. Well, besides probably the Superleggera. I'm not sure how much this power the Superleggera makes. They're either similar or very, very close. But Ducati claims 221 horsepower. Obviously, that's probably crank. Well, definitely crank, because that doesn't make that much to the wheel. Stock, and with the full Akrapovic exhaust system, which I had on the last V4S that I owned, it would be if I put that exhaust on this bike would make 234 horsepower. So it goes up by like about 13 horsepower with that exhaust. That's a lot of power, guys. That's like very powerful. The thing is with this bike is that it is extremely light. It's like 360 something pounds dry weight. Wet weight, I'm assuming, is gonna be like 415, maybe 420, something like that, which is like insanely light, you know what I mean? And honestly, I can't tell 100% if it feels lighter or if the suspension is better, because it's not electronic. It's like a little more stiff. The bike just feels more precise, you know what I mean? The V4S that I had before was kind of like it felt like it felt heavy, but that could be because like the suspension wasn't like as stiff or responsive, so it's kind of like required a little bit, there's more play, you know. This one is just so instant. I think this way, I go this way. I think this way, I go this way. And the bike feels like extremely light and nimble. Definitely way lighter. Feels lighter than both my R1M and obviously the H2 as well. And talking about horsepower, this bike, so stock, tested on a dyno and made 186 to the wheel, to the rear wheel, obviously. So 186 to the rear wheel. Guess how much my R1M made? My R1M, after, obviously I don't have a great exhaust on it, but still I have a 3/4 decatted exhaust with a tune, with an air filter, made 183 to the wheel. So it made 3 less horsepower with all the bolt-ons pretty much that you would want to get for a bike, you know. So literally made less. So let's say we put like a decent exhaust system on my bike, it'll probably be at like 186, 187 to the wheel. So this bike has, but currently I don't have like a good exhaust on the R1, so we're gonna stick with that. So this bike stock has more horsepower than my R1M. If that alone isn't like crazy, I don't know what to tell you, especially because it's also lighter. I wish I have a scale or know someone that have the bike scales that I've seen Jared Campese 650 use, because I want to do like a comparison of all the weights of the bikes and see if it's actually the weight or just how the bike is set up and stuff like that, you know, because how you set up your bike really affects how comfortable you are on it, you know. Like it can feel way better like moving around and stuff like that by adjusting and playing with the suspension. But this bike on paper is lighter. Does it feel lighter? 100%, a million percent actually. It feels way lighter than the R1M. And it's not like in a bad way. My V4S, again, that could be because of the suspension. It felt way more like, this one felt way more stable, or feels way more stable than the V4S. The V4S I had felt a little wobbly, and that could be the suspension again. Like, it didn't feel as sturdy as this bike, you know what I mean? Like, right now the bike is like chilling so like smooth, it just, as it should be, you know what I mean? And I blamed a little bit maybe the fact that my last bike was full carbon fiber, but honestly that wouldn't have changed more than like 10 pounds on the bike. So even with the full carbon fiber package that not package, aftermarket part that I had on it, it probably weighed similar to this. But this just feels like, it feels light, if not lighter than my V4S, but more stable and precise. And that's like, that precision is where it really kind of surprised me, you know what I mean? Like, I really like the V4S was a little unpredictable, you know what I mean? Like, when I moved, sometimes it was too easy to like throw around, and it wasn't like as precise to your body's movement, because again, like, it felt like a little soft, wobbly, so like I felt like wind affected how the bike moves. And it could be because that bike was a 2019 with 2020 body, so it could be that, like, I don't know, it wasn't like set up right, or the wind wasn't flowing right, something about it. Everything's OEM on this one, so it should be functioning really good. So yeah, like, the bike literally makes more horsepower than my R1M stock. Obviously, at some point, hopefully soon, I'm going to be getting an exhaust for it, as well as an air filter and a tune, the whole package. I'll probably start off with just like the flash unlocks thing, because most of the exhausts you buy with, you can just like you get like a flash map that you just install it on it. So I'll do that at first, and then later on down the line I'll probably do a proper dyno tune and pretty much just like see how different like the regular map that comes with the exhaust is from a proper dyno tune. A lot of people maybe might not know this about dyno tunes, but altitude really affects pretty much how like good the bike runs, lean, ridge, blah blah blah. So usually if you get a preset map and you live like somewhere with a different altitude, it's gonna feel different than if you move somewhere else, and it's probably gonna make different power too, since like the air to fuel ratio isn't like correct. So a dyno tune is always preferred because they tune the bike based on where you live. So yeah, those are kind of like my initial like reactions and thoughts. I definitely felt a difference in power. This bike feels extremely fast, even though I never even put it in sport mode. I'm currently in street mode with like traction control at 6, and like it's like it has that smooth power delivery, nothing like aggressive or anything like that, because I am commuting, so there's no point in putting in like the sport and race / track versions. I want it to be like as smooth as possible, not like crazy aggressive. We're getting closer and closer to the fog, and I feel the temperature dropping. I am not excited for that. I was kind of enjoying the ride. I was enjoying it because I'm literally just going straight, and my body's like becoming a rock in this position. But at least I wasn't suffering, and as soon as we get into that fog, and now I'm gonna suffer because I already experienced that a few hours ago and it was fucking freezing. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for this episode of the ride back. Now we still have like about, we're already 45 miles into the second spot. We're like about halfway through. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, kind of talking about the experience of this bike. Obviously later down the line, what is that thing on top of this spreader van? that's just shaking. That looks weird. I wonder what that is. But yeah, we're just talking about like my experience with this bike now that I'm a little bit more comfortable on it. I have a few hundred miles on it. You know, how it feels and my initial thoughts since I'm a little comfortable with it. Like this video. As I said before, this bike was not cheap at all. It's a V4R. You guys wanted a V4 on the channel, so I did it for you guys, and I didn't cheap out. I full sent it with a dang V4R. I'm not rich enough for a Superleggera, or I would have sent it for you guys as well, but I think most of you, if not all of you, should be satisfied with a V4R, especially the ones that were telling me to get a V4. So please destroy that like button for the video. It helps with YouTube promoting my videos to the rest of my subscribers and to new viewers. So yeah, comment, let me know what videos also you guys want me to film with this bike, because it's a new bike and there's a lot of new content I can film with it. So I'm definitely excited for that. Other than that, thank you guys so much for the support, the love I've been getting on the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Love you all. Peace out. Ride safe.